Hello again. We're going to go on to our second lesson, which is 5.3 for quarter 2, week 5 of your freshman year here at Harding High School. This lesson is about how to graph a linear function. Now, in the last lesson, we learned how to get an equation from a graph. So you're looking at a graph and then you get the equation from it. Today, we are going to do the opposite of that. However, the steps are very, very similar, slightly different set of skills. Also, it's kind of fun because we get to make it our own, make it unique, have fun with it, make it as pretty as we want. So let's go ahead and do a few examples. First off, we're gonna look at the steps. Now, this note sheet, this worksheet, shows some step-by-step, and we're going to follow along with that step-by-step. I word it a little differently than it is on the notes sheet. So let's go ahead and get started with our first example. Taking a look at this first example here, we can see that I have put all the steps in order. Step one is going to be to circle the slope and the y-intercept, the m and the b. And then step 2 is going to be putting the y-intercept on the y-axis. Step 3 is going to be creating our own slope triangle from the slope. Step 4 is going to be completing the entire line, connecting the dots, making it look nice, and making it unique to ourselves. Let's do it. So, like I said, step 1 is going to be to go through and using our color coding method. Remember, B is always going to be in purple. Now, when we circle the B value, we want to make sure that we're circling both the number and the symbol in front of it. Remember, whatever symbol is to the left of a number belongs to that number. In this case, it's positive, but we still want to circle the plus sign to get in that good habit. Next step is to circle the slope. And again, we're circling both parts of the fraction. We're circling the negative that's in front of the fraction. We are not circling the x. The x is not a part of the slope. However, the slope is always in front of the x, the m value. Let's go on to the next step. The next step is to find that b value on the y-axis. So we're going to look at the y-axis. Remember, the y-axis is the up and down, in the middle, that's the y-axis. So we're going to look at that and we're going to find positive 7. Positive 7, remember the positives are above the x-axis on the top part of the graph. It's that easy. That's all we had to do. The next step, a little more tricky. We need to create a slope triangle from that point that is the same as the rise over run. So rewriting the slope, I say that the negative is going to go on top at first. So always take the negative and put it with the number that's on the top. Notice up here, we're looking bougie. We got our negative out front, making it look cute, making it look nice. However, when we need to use it, it's best to put that negative on the top. Now, remember, that's our rise. So let's look at that part first. Our rise is a -1. So that might be a little confusing, but remember, the rise actually means up or down. And so when it's a negative, that means we're going to go down. So we're going to go from our b value, go down 1. And then the 3 is the run. Remember, 3 is the left or right, the back and forth. And so since it's a positive 3, we could even put a little positive in front of the 3 just to remind us. The positive direction on the axis is to the right. Notice how if I draw my slope triangle, I end up lining up with the 3 on the x-axis. Maybe you can't see that because of my little bubble here. So it lines up with a 3 on the x-axis. Another way that we can make sure that we did it right is that we can use our trusty count the boxes strategy and make sure that we indeed have 1/3. Now, once you make that slope triangle, the next thing we want to do is put a point at the at the end of that slope triangle. And the definition of a linear function is a line that follows that pattern both forwards and backwards. So it's a same slope triangle whether we go more to the right or we go more to the left. Let's go more to the right for now. We're going to go and follow that same strategy. We're going to go down 1/3, down 1/3, down 1, and then we're off the graph. So we don't have to do this last one. And at every single corner that we turn here, we have the line. So now I'm going to connect my points. I'm going to go, and that's not very pretty. So let's make it look a little nicer. Let's make it a straight line using Notability, or at least try to mostly go through all the points. Now, we're going to go the other direction, but we need to make sure that we're still a straight line and we're still maintaining that same pattern as we go the other direction. So looking at the shape of this slope triangle, I'm going to make more of those slope triangles, but going in the opposite direction. 3, up 1, 3, up 1. But actually, even though it might seem like we're going in an opposite direction, we are going the same direction, because if you look at this, we see that it's still got a slope triangle that is going to be 1/3. And we can double check at the end by making a little slope person and putting them on the left-hand side and noticing they're going to be going downhill. So indeed, we do have a negative slope. All right, let's do more examples, see what kind of crazy fun things happen along the way. We got this. Here we go. All right, step 1, circle the b value with the symbol to the left. Circle the slope with any symbol that might be to the left. Step 2, we're going to put the b value onto the y-axis. So you can see that -5 is down here. We're going to put a point right there. Again, negative means below the halfway point, below the x-axis. Now we're going to create a slope triangle. Remember, our slope is the rise over the run. Both numbers are positive, so let's see what happens here. Since the 2 is positive, it means go up 2. And since the x, or the run is positive, it means go to the right. So we're going to go over to 7 here. Now notice again how the point that we end at lines up with the 7 on the x-axis. That's a good way to double check that you counted correctly. Another thing to do, remember, is to count the boxes to make sure that you did it right. We have 7 blocks to walk that way. We have 2 blocks to walk this way, so we're good to go. So here we have our line in one direction. We need to make sure we go the other direction as well. We want to make sure that the pattern continues. And so we're going to do the same shape. It's the same shape, but it's on the other side. Now, since our slope has such a long run, we can only fit 2 points on our graph, whereas this previous one, we got 3 points in each direction. So it's going to be different depending on what the slope is at the end. All right, next one. Step 1, circle the b value with the symbol in front. Step 1 also is to circle the slope. Now we're going to find the b value. The b value is at -3. And the slope helps us to create the slope triangle. However, remember that if you have a negative in front of the slope, we want to make sure that we are putting that negative on top. That's going to help us understand which direction to go. So now I am at -3. I'm going to go down to -10. That's 7. Remember, 3 to 10, the difference is 7. And then 9 is my run, so I'm going to go out 9. Now, again, this point here lines up with the 9 on the x-axis, so it's a real easy way to make sure that you counted correctly. If you're ever unsure if you counted correctly, you should go through and use that counting strategy to double check. Here we go. There's half of our line. We have to go the other direction now, and we're going to make that same slope triangle, but it's going to be on the other side. So we want to go 9 over to the left here, 9, and then up 7. 3 plus 4 is 7, right? We have 3 here and 4 here. That's a total of 7. That's one way to double check that you got it right. And we're going to continue our line also in that other direction. Okay, we got lots more to do. Let's take a look. This one is a little tricky. We're going to still follow that same strategy. We're going to circle the slope. We're going to circle the b value. Okay, let's get started. We got the slope. B value goes at -8. And now here's the tricky part. Our slope is just a 2. Well, maybe that's the rise. Maybe that's the run. We don't really know what to do here. There's only one number. What am I supposed to do? Aha! Remember that any number can be written as that same number over 1, right? When we were simplifying on the last lesson, we said 2 over 1. We're going to rewrite that as 2. So now we're doing the opposite thing this time. We know it's 2. We're going to rewrite it as 2 over 1. Okay, so 2 over 1, that means that my rise is 2 and my run is 1. So my slope triangle is kind of small, and that's okay. And we're going to keep going as many times as we can before we go off the grid. So up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 right 1. And then I'm just going to keep that pattern going for as long as I can until I run out of room. Okay, so there's half of our line. Well, I guess more than half, but could be prettier. Not the most pretty, but it's all right. This other way, we want to have the same shape of our slope triangle. So it's going to be the same shape, but we go the opposite direction, and this part goes that way. All right, next one, also a little bit tricky. What's going on here? Let's figure it out. We have a +4, so remember that's our first step. Our second step is to circle the slope. I don't see a number there. We'll get to it. We're going to first find our b value, which is +4. And then let's take a look at our slope. So we're going to say m equals negative to start with. Now remember, mathematicians are so lazy that they've designed ways where they don't have to do as much writing. Whenever you see just a plain old x or a negative x, we know that that actually means that it's a -1. What the heck are we supposed to do with one number? We need a rise and a run. Okay, same thing we did last question. We're going to put it over 1, like that. So, a little tricky to remember, but once you get enough practice, you'll see, you'll remember every time. Okay, so let's take a look. Remember, if we have a negative as a rise, that means we go down. If we have a positive as a run, we go to the right. So we're going down 1, over 1, and that is our point. All right, so now we need to do that for, continue that pattern, right? Down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1. And this is my favorite slope. 1 and -1 are my favorite slopes because you get to draw so many points and it's kind of fun. It's kind of relaxing, just like doing a coloring book or those little, paint by number things on your phone. It's kind of repetitive. It feels good. It takes a little bit of attention, but not too much attention. Feel free to use fun colors, make a rainbow, your favorite sports team. You can alternate those two colors. Have fun with it. Okay, I ran out of time, so I'm going to push this one a little bit to the limit. Now, this is our answer to our final question, and then I want to make sure I give you the password. It is ESCHER. And so the password here ends up being the first password was the first two names of this person. This is the last name. Usually people call them MC Escher. He was a really, really amazing artist. So if you want to see some really cool math art, go ahead and look him up. All right, good luck on your examples. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to help. Bye.